Good morning, Bubbles. Hi. Hi. You ready? Bubbles. Bubbles. No. Down. Come on, dude. Hey, friend. Welcome back to the garden. Hello, guys. Oh, hello. I didn't see you there. Welcome back to my garden. Hey, guys. Welcome back to the Sanctuary Garden for the 2023 summer season. It's been a while. Haven't talked to you since November. Don't worry, I've missed you too. So this is my second year growing a garden in this specific house in garden zone 7B. The winter, all of the soil in my garden bed compacted and got really, really low. So about a month ago, I filled it in with some new topsoil. I still need to get some type of compost. I think I'm gonna get horse manure again because I think that's what made my garden so exceptional last year and made everything grow so big. But I haven't gotten around to going to the stables yet. So I will be doing that, and I think I might take you with me. In the meantime, I'm gonna go ahead and just start putting my starts in now. All of the seeds that I started this year, I started them the same way I have the last couple years. They just didn't seem to do well. I had the same lighting conditions, I had the fan, I watered kind of inconsistently, but also the same that I've always done. So I don't really know what caused my seed starts to go so wrong, but they just kind of started like drying up and dropping leaves and looking really sad and pitiful. They weren't overwatered. I don't think they were underwatered. I don't know if it was the soil I got this year. Maybe it just wasn't really a good starting soil for seeds. It was a potting soil. So I don't really know. And I've also talked to a gardener friend who lives across the street, and she said a lot of her starts she lost. She used the same soil, same conditions as she did the year before. So I don't know. Did anyone else start seeds out there that they just didn't seem to go well this year? I also started seeds at my nanny daughter's house, and we built her garden this year, which was actually pretty cool. But her seeds also got a little rotty and like did the same things that mine did. We used the same soil at her house too. So I don't know. Let this be a message to you that if you started your own seeds and they didn't really work out well, don't feel bad. If you can afford it, go to the store and buy some starts. Like, don't let that deter your garden from being the best garden it can be. There's no shame in buying starts from the store. Here, let me show you an example. So here is the zinnias I started from seed this year. What is happening there? Does anyone know? This looks like some type of mold or fungus, like just started killing the leaves. And I mean, this is the zinnia I got from the store. One of my cats or dogs have been chewing the leaves, so ignore that. It did look beautiful when I bought it the other day, but that just goes to show like store started plant, home started plant. Even if this didn't go wrong, look how little they were. I either didn't start them early enough or they just didn't have enough time to get this big. But if I'm gonna be planting this in May, imagine how big this is gonna be in a month. If I planted this in May, this would maybe look like this in a month. So when I saw these at the store, I was like, I gotta get them. Like, I saw these and I was like, they have zinnias. I've never seen zinnias at the store before, maybe because I was never looking for them. But I was so excited that I was like, sorry, I'm not even gonna bother planting these. So do what you can. But yes. Let me go ahead and show you all the other stuff I'm planting in my garden, and then maybe we could plant together today. Have a little plant and chat, garden and gossip. Yeah, I don't have it anymore. That'll be enough. All right, let's go. Full of like how the rot affected my plants. Like, how sad is this tomato plant? Homegrown, store-bought. I mean, look at how great this is and healthy this is in comparison to this. It's just so sad. And I bought like specialty seeds this year, Brad's Atomic Grape, because I really wanted to grow a variety that you can't buy at the store. And Sunrise Bumblebee tomato. I just really wanted to try something cool and new, and this is what I ended up with. And I don't, like, again, I think it's my fault. I'm not blaming the seeds, but it's so disappointing when you grow something special and you just don't have enough space to grow multiples and this happens. So I think I'm going to plant these because I want them so dearly. I believe in you. I believe in you. But I'm also prepared that in a week, if they like died out because they just don't like it or they don't get stronger, then I'm going to take them out and buy store starts, because at the end of the day, it doesn't matter how you are getting a harvest. It matters that you have one. And that's my goal, is just to succeed and get some fruits. I'm not going to just like end my journey with tomatoes here because of that. And if you're sneaky, find one with 2 plants. This happens all the time. Look at, there's 2 tomatoes in there. So you divide those. I have 2 plants right here for the price of 1. I did actually buy a zucchini. I don't know where I'm gonna put it, because last year I put it right here and it got huge and the storm ripped it to pieces and I had to pull it out. And with this trellis here, my cucumbers and my watermelon got so big, they like make a big shade here, like in midsummer. So I'm trying to figure out something I could plant here in the middle that needs sun in the beginning, but like can be in partial shade the rest of the summer and maybe thrives off shade. So if anyone has ideas, I would love it. Like whether it's flowers or herbs, or maybe I could do like lettuces and carrots that would otherwise get too hot. I don't know. Give me some tips, please. Quickly get into it. Over here, I'm going to do some herbs, some basil on this side, chamomile, and in the inner side of this arch, I do cucumbers. Last year I did watermelon, sugar baby watermelons on the other side. I maybe got like 1 or 2. So I'm just starting to think that like maybe we didn't get enough sun, or maybe whatever. It doesn't matter. I'm not doing watermelons again. What I'm going to do is do cucumber on one side and a cucumber on the other. Only put maybe 1 plant on each side so they don't get as thick and bushy as they did last year. I loved how they look. Like if they weren't so much, wouldn't have gotten disease or sickness from like moisture getting stuck under the leaves as fast. So we're going to do that this year. 2 different types of cucumbers, same as last year. Silver Slicer and Market More, like the basic cucumbers that I know I'm going to love and I know that do really well. So trellis cucumbers, herbs in the front. And we're going to come back to where I had my flowers last year. I had 2 zinnia plants kind of right here. They got really, really big, beautiful. They took up all this space. And what I decided was I found these daisies and I love them so much. I researched them and they say they get to 3 to 4 feet tall. So that's similar to the zinnia variety. And I believe that when you cut them, maybe cut them low, that they will produce more flowers as you go. So then I can have bouquets of daisies and zinnias, and that is the goal. Same on the other side. I got a different type of basil to match over there. Cucumbers, chamomile, daisies, zinnia. Bam. I'm someone who really likes even sides to the eye. So we're doing both on both sides. No peppers this year, kind of sad about it, but it's just kind of not worth it in the space I have. And then in the back, last year I did 4 tomato cages, and they got so tall they went over the fence. It was insane. My goal this year is to do 3 tomato plants to give them a little bit more space in between, a little bit more airflow. And I just had so many tomatoes that I felt like a lot got wasted, a lot rotted. I couldn't even get behind there anymore, like between the fence and the bed, to like pick them all. So I'm kind of like, you know, Alexis, go a little bit less hard this year and maybe I'll still get as many tomatoes because they'll be able to like really take up space on their own. So last year I got 2 bushel and berry plants. They're like a berry variety that's supposed to be compact and small. You can put them in pots. They don't get big over time. They produce their first year that you plant them. Really good brand, really liked them last year, but my blueberries last year just didn't take off. And I think it's because I didn't have enough acidity in the soil. When I planted them, I did put it in. It just took a long time for the plant to like take, and then it took a while for me to realize that the leaves weren't the right color because it was supposed to be like a multicolored leaf blueberry plant. By the time I fixed the soil issue last year, it was too late for them to bloom blueberries. So I never got blueberries from it, but the plant seemed like it got healthier and it got bigger. Over the winter, I moved in this raspberry bush. Look how big and lush this is. And this happened over the last month. I moved this raspberry bush into like my back porch where it's like kind of enclosed, but we never closed the door in the winter anyways, but I figured it would give it some protection from the cold. I moved that one in and I mistakenly left this one out because I was just, honestly, I was too lazy to move the giant pot in, and I knew it needed like 500 cold hours, so I was just like, you know, I think it'll be okay, and it died. And it looked really good all winter. Like I actually brought this plant out and thought I killed it in like cover inside because I watered it very sparingly in the winter. Like I thought I killed it. So I brought this one out and thought, oh, this one's dead. This one looks amazing. Like, it still had all of its leaves. And I was like, okay, I guess I'll just have to buy a new one. The weather started warming up. This one dropped all of its dead and crusty leaves that I already thought were dead. This one dropped all of its beautiful leaves that I thought was alive. And I was like, oh no. But then I was like, okay, they did it together. Maybe that's just what they do. Like, the heat comes in, they feel the first warmth of the spring, and they drop their leaves, and then they're going to start growing. Well, this one did. This one didn't. So I realized, like, the one that I left out died. No one's fault but my own, but now I know that I need to move them under cover in the winter, even if it's not that much difference. Like a 5-degree difference in there made all of the difference with this raspberry. And honestly, I'm kind of glad that I moved the raspberry, because the raspberries make me think of my grandma. She had a lot of raspberry bushes in her yard. I'm glad that that one survived. Unfortunately, that means I had to buy a new blueberry plant. I looked online, they wanted like $100, and I was kind of late in the season to be ordering it, and I just wasn't ready. I don't know, I was kind of hoping it would come back, the blueberry. But then I did find the same brand, blueberry plant, at Home Depot. They only had one variety there, so I didn't really get to choose or be fancy or get to pick any cool one. This one is called, needs like 500 cold hours. So it's made to be in this area. It said zone 5 to 10. So, I mean, we're like right on the cutoff for this. So maybe it won't survive this winter either, but it looks like a pretty healthy big bush. It kind of looks like these bushes did last year when I started them. So I think this one will catch up. And if I do the acidity in the soil correct, we should have blueberries this year. Oh, and also it was like $22 at Home Depot, this one. I didn't get to pick the variety, but it was $22. And then online, multiple websites sell this brand, and they wanted like 50 to 100 and then shipping. So if you're in a tight budget and you want a garden, but you're like not sure, just go to your local store. Sometimes, you know, you can get deals there. And then, of course, the strawberries on the shepherd's hook. I really liked that look last year. I'm going with it again. Because I'm in such a small growing area, I really like the look of like a cottage garden, but also like it grows food for you. So I like the mix of flowers and tomatoes and basil, but then there's more flowers, and then there's strawberries, and then there's bushes. So I like how it looks to the eye. I like having beauty and then also being able to eat from it too. But so I went with the strawberries again. And I normally don't start these myself. I just don't have the space. So this year I bought this really cool hanging planter that has like little peekaboo holes for more berries. And I'm really liking them. Meyer, you know, good garden finds. So this is what we were working with this year. What you doing, sweet girl? This is Queen Khaleesi, my first ever pet I ever had. Sweet baby Khaleesi. Right, got our handy dandy shovel, and we're gonna start planting. This purple basil, oh so cute, but it's not doing too well. It's also looking sad, so I don't know, I'm gonna put it in and just see. Let's stick this in here. Break up the roots a little bit. The chamomile right here. I think every garden should have chamomile. It's just me. It's just so pretty, even if you don't drink the tea or do anything with the flowers. It's just, and it grows all year until it dies, so it's worth it. Stick this in here, break up the roots a little bit. And before I plant any more towards the back, I'm gonna put the tomato cages in first so I can gauge how much space I really have to plant. Hey, you wanna come with? And see, I'm a comedian this year. My tomato cages this year. One of these I'm gonna take to work, so I'm probably gonna take the prettiest one and leave myself the grodiest ones. These are going on year 3 of being used. They're rusting, so maybe this is my last year with those. I don't know, we'll see. I bought these on Amazon, like 20 bucks each. I don't know if you can make them work 4 years. That's $5 a year. I think that's pretty worth it. They're very sturdy. They look beautiful. They held up my giant tomatoes last year. And they disappear when they're full of greens. You don't even see them. This one's like real rusty. She's still strong. All right, so we're gonna put 3 in the bed this year. Let's do that. Ta-da! Oh my god. Ta-da! Honestly, I'm really shocked I fit 4 of these in here last year, because now I'm like, oh, look at the space. I don't know. Sometimes you want to just grow all the things, and other times you're like, I think I could take it back a little bit and maybe get the same results. So that's the goal here. So these are where my tomatoes will go. This is now the space that I have to work with. I'm glad I put these in first, because now it reminds me how little space I actually have. I have experience with zinnias. I don't have experience with the Sasha Daisy. I'm told, or I researched, that it gets just as big as these. This is bigger now, this is smaller. I'm hoping, I don't know. When you plan your summer garden, when you're thinking about in the winter or you're planning it out now, you have to consider what everything looks like when it gets full, when it reaches maturity, when it's in the heat of the summer and everything is big, beautiful, and gorgeous. You got to think about how the sun hits things. And in my opinion, I know these front things don't get that tall, they're not going to block the sun. If this gets taller than this quicker, this is going to be blocking out the sun for this, at least in my area, and this might never get to full maturity. So I need to make a decision now whether I want to go like this or like this. And in my experience, this gets so big, I don't know about this, like, but I think this looks actually kind of pretty right now. Maybe I'll do that. That's my one hot tip for growing a garden. Envision what you think it's going to look like at its best and work backwards from there. So I'm considering heights, I'm considering sun, I'm considering what's going to shade out what halfway through the summer and prevent it from growing, right? So I'm going to just make a call and say I'm going to put this in the back and hope that this gets bigger than this, or that they balance each other out and it just gives that eye look of like a staircase. That's like my goal. I really like even sides on both sides, the same thing to be on both sides, and I really like it to be, I don't know, beautiful looking, right? You want a garden you want to sit in. You want a garden that's just appeasing to the eye, but also gives you food and joy. So that's what we're gonna do. Side note, I'm finding a lot of these like in the soil. What is this? Is it a June bug? Is it a cicada? I mean, they're coming out of the soil like dead. What is this? Anybody know? Meantime, we're just gonna eat. Gone. Let's go ahead and just get this planted. I'm a little nervous, but I think I'm overthinking it. Just don't overthink it. At the end of the day, just do it. We'll also add, I'm leaving a lot of space between these plants as much as I can, because last year I really overplanted because I wanted so much. And I mean, everything grew well. It all looked really beautiful and full, but it didn't account for how big that these plants would get. And so I don't think they really reached full maturity. So I'm really restraining myself this year with the temptation to overpack. Like I see this gap here, I'm like, I can move that over. I could put something else here. I could put something else there. I'm just not going to do that this year. I'm really just going to do less and maybe have more. That's what I'm thinking. Don't overplant if possible. All right, let's go ahead and get these sad tomatoes planted. Another hot tip. See this tomato plant? If I take off these leaves, and mine's pretty leggy, so I got a lot of stem here. I'm going to plant this probably to like here in the ground, because this stem has all these little hairs you can see in the sun, and all of these little hairs are going to turn into roots. So plant your tomatoes deep, let them get more roots, more nutrition, more water, and that plant is going to get so much bigger. Not all plants can do this, it's a tomato thing, but so I'm going to plant it like this. Boop. Sweet puppies. It's getting really hot out here. So last but not least, I am going to get rid of my dead blueberry plant the new one. I'm putting some soil acidifier in it. It says it's for hydrangeas, but it's for anything that needs more acidic soil to soak up nutrients. I'm probably gonna put this whole thing in there. It might not even be enough, but I'm gonna mix it into the soil where the roots go, and then I'm gonna sprinkle it on the top too. So I think I'm just gonna put you in a time lapse, but that's what we're doing. This one is on my bed. I need to get things watered before it gets too hot and they start to wilt. Everything needs to get watered in once you plant it. So let's do that now. All right, and then some watering tips before I leave you to dream of your own garden today. Water as close to the roots as possible, to the base of your plant, because if you water the leaves in the sun, they will get burned. It like magnifies the rays just like an oil would on your skin. So don't get your leaves wet if you're watering during the day or in the morning and the hot sun's gonna be on those before they dry up. That's a no-no, they'll get burned. Secondly, water at the base, because in the heat of the summer, all of that moisture in the air and all their leaves, if they don't get burned, it's gonna create like a mildew. Powdery or some other type of fungus is gonna love it, gonna grow, it's gonna kill your leaves, it's gonna kill your plant. So always try to practice watering at the base of your plant any time of year, and obviously especially when they're little, because they're just so fragile. And water deeply. The deeper you water your plants, the more the roots will go down into the ground to get that water, and then they'll get stronger, taller, healthier, bigger, all of it. Another tip, which I didn't do, is water your garden before you plant it. Water the soil so it's already a little moist. When you plant everything in, you don't have to water it as soon as you plant it. Or you could just do like a quick trickle over it. But I didn't think about that, so now I gotta go in and gently water all my little starts so that they don't get burned in the sun now, and so they can get their first drink. They're getting a little wilty. Another gardening tip in terms of flowers, you want to cut the very first flower off. I'm gonna cut this one right down here at the base, because if I let this flower go, it would signal to the plant that it had already made its seeds and that it doesn't need to keep growing. This way it'll keep putting off new flowers, and because I cut that one, it's gonna tell this one right here, these little ones, to keep growing and push out another stem, and that's how you get a zinnia flower to get big and bushy. You keep cutting the flowers. I'm gonna do some research and figure out how this one works, but I think it's gonna be the same. I really don't wanna cut it off, it's so beautiful, but I'm going to, because I know it's only gonna help these other ones keep blooming. So I'm gonna go down all the way as far as I can without cutting off another flower. Go first. Oh no, I did cut off another one. That's okay. It's cool. It's okay. I should have cut it right here. But I think the lower you cut, it tells the plant to grow a longer stem, which you want if you're going to put them in a vase. So maybe that was a good thing. Happy accident. She's gorgeous. Look at that sacred geometry. Wow. Wow. Same on the other side. This one has a lot more flowers. I'm gonna come down and try not to damage. So sad because they're so beautiful. I might just leave that one. I want one to look at. So happy. Oh, I did it again. My goodness. Well, it's okay. I'm gonna cut it right here. There you go. The more you cut flowers, the more flowers you get with certain varieties. And that is the case with zinnias, and I'm hoping the daisies too. This is the finished masterpiece. Cucumbers, basil, chamomile, zinnias, daisies, 3 tomatoes in the back. I'm not sure what I'm going to do with the nasturtiums, daisies, zinnias, same thing, cucumber, basil, and chamomile. Raspberries, strawberries, blueberries, and strawberries. That's it. The garden is officially in. Thanks for hanging out with me today, spending some time in my garden, getting a little dirty. Hopefully I inspired you to maybe start your own garden this year. It's not too late, it's the perfect time to start planting. See you next time.